adventures, treasure hunting. Books, films, games, we love them all. The need for uncovering unknown is deeply rooted into human existence. Since the dawn of civilization, we were hungry for stories of what's beyond the borders of the world we knew. Brave souls venturing farther than anyone before, upon returning to their people, were surrounded by curious eyes and ears of those who remained within the boundaries of the realm, so to speak. Whole communities gathered to listen, to one man, to the spoken word, the most powerful thing to ever exist for a species. And powerful it was, grasping the minds of both young and old. Those stories of adventure, of exploration, of treasures and wonders that the world has to offer. We simply cannot get enough of them. It is like, to this day, even when we know so much, even when we are at the edge of developing true artificial intelligence, we mapped almost the entire world that we see. We can capture it and encapsulate in video format. We can even reach to the stars with the technology and knowledge we have. And yet we still crave to unfold the secrets of the universe, no matter if it's light years away, or maybe just in the next village. Still we consume the content in all forms that allow us to see what we have never seen before, what we never knew, what we could not imagine or even dream of. And here we come, the whole circle. Books, films, games. I am a little bit ashamed to admit that this is my first experience with Uncharted series, but now I know that Nathan Drake and his friends deserve to be put next to the great characters of a genre like Indiana Jones and Lara Croft. Yes, I was missing out for all these years, but maybe because of that my experience was enhanced. Let's start with the main game in this collection, Uncharted 4 at Thieves End. The main character that you will control is Nathan Drake. He was the main protagonist in all of the Uncharted series, including this one. And let me tell you this much, this is a great creation from start to the very end. He is written so well that I could suspend my disbelief fully when he was on the screen. I didn't even care when things started to make no sense from time to time. It was simply irrelevant, cause what driven me to ignore all of the imperfections was how good of a job Nolan North, the actor playing Nate, really did. Everything just fits right in, from the voice through the facial expressions and to the movement animations. This is the gaming industry at its best, it really is. But let's get back on the track and talk about the story of the game, which could really be a scenario for a great movie or TV show. The whole thing starts with a very well done tutorial in form of childhood memory, which has a connection with the main action of the game, so that's fortunate as well. We got two brothers, Nathan and Samuel, hungry for treasure of the infamous pirate captain Henry Avery. The action starts in the prison in Panama. Our protagonists are involved in the plot to find the cell where was jailed the before-mentioned legendary pirate. As you imagine, it won't be easy, since the prisons in South America aren't exactly known from light treatment of inmates. For the sake of the plot, the whole thing goes sideways. Nathan loses his brother and is left with a shady third partner in all this business, namely Rafe. Fast forward 15 years, Nathan Drake, after all his dangerous adventures, lives more normal life. He has a job that still involves some dangers, but nothing as grave as being trapped in ancient ruins, hunted by armed to the teeth goons. He is married and his wife Elena is great, beautiful, smart, funny, she plays video games, but most of all, She loves Nate. Still, he is not fully satisfied as he clearly misses his old life. Suddenly, out of the blue, there comes back Sam, his older brother, that seems to be very much alive, but not yet truly free. Nathan jumps at the occasion and with his brother restarts the hunt for the Ivory's treasure. As a third partner for this adventure joins Victor Sullivan, somewhat of a father figure for Nathan. So they go, and poor Elena stays behind, being lied to. But here I stop. I'm not gonna tell you the whole plot of the story. That would be silly of me. If I was to do that, the title of this video would be something like Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, the plot summary, but it is clearly not. Instead, let's talk about supporting characters for a moment. All three of them clearly love Nathan, and it shows, mainly thanks to great acting by all the professionals involved. Well done. They really know how to act, and most of all, how to convey the emotional connection between them, so even a dark-hearted and cold-blooded bastard like me can understand it clearly. All of them support Nate no matter what. Even if he is in the wrong, they do not turn back on him. This is what I call a true family. Even in this game, it ain't no perfect world, so they do have their disagreements, of course. They do fight and even can stay angry with each other for a little while, and that makes them so believable, I suppose. They are a very likable group that you will have pleasure to observe, even if they are thieves and killers. Nobody's perfect, am I right? Or am I right? I would love to see some changes in the convention, cause not every hired gun and henchman is out there to kill our protagonists. At least that's what we would normally believe, but our so-called heroes do not hesitate to draw first blood and kill from stealth. As I said before, it is well-known trope, so I will let it slip. Besides, how could I be ever angry with them, when the banter they provide for me to listen is so pleasant and funny? Maybe that's why Tomb Raider felt more like a game, cause Lara Croft was alone most of the time. Here it feels like an interactive movie, with breaks for some gameplay, and all that thanks to the before mentioned crew of protagonists. I was shocked that I truly and deeply cared about them, and if they will make it to the end of the story. That does not happen often at all. There is even a major twist at the endgame that I did not see coming at all. I'm not gonna spoil it for you here, but let's just say it felt like a punch to the gut. The ending of Uncharted 4 at Thieves' End was very fitting. It was very heartwarming and the kind you would expect from a great adventure film, and there is an epilogue that consists from even more of that. I really liked it, but there is a major caveat to all that. It is like Hollywood blockbuster action movie, so you need to suspend your disbelief really hard sometimes, cause if you start to think about it, logical errors and inconsistencies will drive you crazy, and that's not the point. The point is to enjoy the game for what it is, over-the-top action movie-like experience, with plenty of feel-good elements. If you temper your expectations to match the reality, you will have a blast with the story. That I assure you. But enough with those promises. I know what you want to hear. What about the gameplay, mister? Ah yes, I will tell you all about it, my impatient youngster. Perhaps you won't be surprised when I say it is buttery smooth, with very responsive controls indeed. The game would be ruined otherwise. There is also great camera work that helps you during your gameplay instead of being in your way, which is very hard to achieve for the game engine devs. I think Sony keeps the high standard in this regard when it comes to the games they publish under their name. I keep seeing it in ports from PlayStation to PC. It simply cannot be a coincidence. I wish on the Xbox side it was the case as well. But coming back to the Uncharted, we got cinematic high-quality in-game cutscenes seemingly intertwined into gameplay, which only multiplies the feeling like you were inside some grand adventure movie yourself. This immersion is given to you on every step. Devs really thought it through. For example, journal is actually a journal in this game, with all the documents and photos physically inside. Feels refreshing, even when I know similar things were done in other games, but here it all just fits in perfectly. Like puzzles, which are pretty straightforward, nothing too hard, very pleasant. You do not get stuck for half an hour in one place, like in Tomb Raider sometimes was the case. There is still an enormous amount of logical errors, inconsistencies, and straight up mumbo-jumbo that we all know from the treasure hunting genre. It is what it is. Oftentimes we need to sacrifice realism for some fun, and that's okay in productions like this one here. But wait, hold on a minute, partner, I hear you say. If everything is so marvelous, maybe combat sucks then. Well, it doesn't. Melee combat is good, with some great animations and multi-character combos, really well done. When it comes to range combat, shooting is pleasant and very functional. Sometimes bullet sponge enemies can be annoying, and Nathan can be bullet sponge himself with regeneration properties that rivals Wolverine from X-Men stories. It is tropey and I would like to see something more ambitious, of course, but maybe that would kill the vibe of the game, who knows. I am yet to tell you about the best thing when it comes to the gameplay of this Uncharted entry. Chase sequences, where you chase someone or being chased. It is truly amazing blend of all the game elements into several wholesome sections that shine through like the highest cut diamonds. The whole scene's turned into Michael Bay movie, full of explosions and flying things everywhere. The chances that our protagonist would survive most of those are slim to none, but again, we do not care because we are having so much fun. But nothing is perfect, so even in this title, which is sustaining the highest standard, we got some flaws here and there. There is my nemesis again, the monster that lurks in almost every worthwhile action game of recent years. Cutie moments. Oh, how I would love to just funnel them out of existence. But they are here. And in overabundant quantities. Yuck! Another thing is magical properties of robes in our protagonist's hands. I know, I told you myself to close an eye for things like that. But sometimes it's simply too much, and you could start to think that you are playing some kind of weird Spider-Man game. And then when you already think Nathan Drake is truly some kind of comic book superhero, you fell down from like 3 meters high and you die. Now that I call BS, give us a break and do not tempt us with such silliness, dear game developers. Since we already slowly creeping into the technical side of the game, let's talk about that for a moment. Firstly, graphical presentation is very well done, in some places even breathtaking.
Is really going to be breathtaking. You're breathtaking! You're breathtaking! You're all breathtaking! All right, so I guess I gotta finish this, so tell me.
What impressed me the most in this aspect were views, vistas and locations on the highest level in gaming industry. Some screenshots that you take using dedicated in-game tool can be set as your wallpaper right away. It will look just like pre-render high-fidelity screen produced for the marketing needs. Now, fit like that is really rare, and I wish we could get more of these, pretty please. Going on next, character models are top tier, especially faces, which is very important for the movie-like game, with plenty of cutscenes. Without the highest care for the craft in this regard, we could simply forget about the highest level of immersion. Truly, sometimes I was forgetting that I was actually playing the game, in a good sense. And what goes alongside good graphics to make it whole? Good animations, of course, and here we got plenty of that. There are some silly bugs, of course, like unnatural twisting of limbs on Nathan during some wall climbing. It is pretty rare and it's funny, so I cannot say it's annoying by any means. We can add to that some small errors in rendering, for example not correctly applied depth of field in some scenes, and that's about it when it comes to minor bugs. To counterbalance them, game has something really good for us. Excellent frame pacing, no matter if it plays around 100 or 150 FPS. It always feels smooth, and that's how I like to enjoy this form of entertainment. By the way, this is the first game when I can tell FSR looks better than DLSS. I was surprised by that, and what I wish for both technologies is that they both would be very close to each other when it comes to image quality, for the benefit of the players. Now, briefly about audio design. Sounds are very well done, like everything in this game, but I really have mixed feelings about music. When playing the game, musical pieces fit right into place, so good that you forget that there is even music. It just synergizes, blends and mixes into the moving picture on your screen. But I realized something when writing this review, cause you must know that I write about the game while listening to the full soundtrack from it. It helps fire up not so distant memories in my mind and write with more emotional load. I am sure many reviewers do the same, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. Soundtrack from Uncharted 4, when separated from the game, is not really that impressive. Don't get me wrong, it is still very good and all, but it lacks something special, original. Something that would separate it from all the similar scores. So in summary, Uncharted 4 at Thieves End is what I call a true AAA game. Almost every aspect of this title is on the highest possible level, and what is more important, it all mixed together makes the whole extremely enjoyable to play. That is most important in video game, sheer enjoyment by the player who experiences artistic vision and engineering skills of the people behind the complete work. I have much respect for the skills of all people working hard, so the rest of us can take it in and have a really good time. Best third-person action games come out first on PlayStation. This is cultivated since 90s, back when Naughty Dog were making Crash Bandicoot, so no wonder that much of experience pays off dividends now. It took me 13 hours to finish the game, and I enjoyed every moment of it. But we still have Uncharted: The Lost Legacy to talk about. It is addition in the Legacy of Thieves Collection. It runs on the same engine, so we will just talk about how it fares played right after the main game. Let me start with the general feeling, because vibe in this one is almost totally different than in Uncharted 4. The heroes of this tale are not close family like Nate and his crew, and the competition between strong female protagonists feels kinda awful right after the main game. Chloe Fraser and Nadine Rose. Oh boy, what a duo. Nadine still looks like she's only a few weeks out from bodybuilding show, foreshadowing for Last of Us Part 2? Yeah, she was looking similar in previous entry, but there she was one of the antagonists and haven't had so much screen time like in this one. What bothers me more is that both ladies have similar voices, and often you can get confused during dialogue between them when there is louder background noise. Subtitles help somewhat in calmer scenes, but when you are in the middle of heavy action you are not going to look down in order to check out who is actually speaking at the moment. Dialogues between them are not very interesting, sadly. Too much mean-spirited taunts instead of friendly banter. To be honest, the whole tone is very grim compared to the first title we discussed today. Civil war in India is no joke, and after the first few chapters of the game, that is almost totally forgotten. Yeah, our heroines.
Kokainum.
Our heroines mention it from time to time, but that is so rare occasion that we won't remember it after the next jumping sequence. And that's where this game is totally saved. The gameplay is still top tier. Yes, there are some minor slip-ups like having a map with standard gaming mechanics. We didn't need that in previous game, and here we could easily do without it. More of that, the wonderful journal with photos and documents inserted turned into the smartphone. OG. At least we got better hints system than in Uncharted 4. Now the game really tries to help me when I do not know what to do for a longer second. Unfortunately, puzzles have even less logical sense than in the previous game. They are still fun though, so I will not complain too much about it. One thing that this game impressed me by, even more than Uncharted 4, was the great shootout during train ride, where moving wagons during turns make it harder to aim. This time I've seen something like this, truly brilliant and amazing. The game is short, it only took me 5 hours to finish it, without rushing anything, playing at my own pace. We're gonna have several occasions during that time to get to know the main antagonist. Unfortunately, Asav is a poorly written villain. At the start, his motivations are unknown, and at the end of the game, he just shouts them out in anger. Really disappointing. But still, despite all those flaws, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy is still a better game than over 99% of them, so I can recommend it even when I had many gripes with it. All in all, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection is a great bundle of two games that I can recommend to all the players alike. We have here all the elements that make video gaming what it truly is. Fantastic entertainment and phenomenal medium to tell the stories. If you never played it before and you seek another game that will grasp you by your inner instinct to explore, look no further, here it is. And if you want to hear another of my stories about exploration of gaming world, I invite you to join me around the fire in the next Great Late Review.